Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Thursday, August 8th. This is Gina Palma. Today we will continue to see showers and thunderstorms across the Great Basin. This morning we're already seeing some lightning continue from the overnight hours over parts of Nevada and the area shaded in yellow, which is where we'll see a mix of wet and dry thunderstorms today. We will see wetter thunderstorms over the eastern half of the area. As we move into Friday, drier air moves into the western side of the Great Basin with breezy winds along the Sierra Front into parts of southern and eastern Nevada and into western Utah. Wind gusts will generally remain around 30 miles per hour, but we will see decreasing humidity and the potential for holdovers, especially with recent lightning or affecting ongoing incidents. We will see a mix of wet and dry lightning on Friday up north across Idaho and wetter storms across Utah. On Saturday, we'll continue with the wetter type thunderstorms over the northern portion of the Great Basin and dry and breezy weather across much of Nevada and Utah. Looking at the last 24 hours, we saw scattered thunderstorms across much of Nevada into the Arizona Strip and the western half of Utah, with isolated activity up across Idaho. These thunderstorms generally produce less or near a tenth of an inch of precipitation, but there were some heavier amounts, especially across Utah, where some areas saw over a half an inch of precipitation. Looking at our recent fire activity across the Great Basin, the areas in the red circles are our new fires, so we did see light to moderate initial attack across the area with some new large fires across Nevada. Over the last 7 days, we've continued to see precipitation target the eastern half of the region, and over the last 2 weeks, some of this precipitation we did see with thunderstorm activity was above normal over parts of Utah and Nevada. However, for the most part, precipitation was below normal across the Great Basin. ERCs are still above the 70th to 80th percentile over the northern and western half of the Great Basin and are still below the 50th to 60th percentile over parts of Utah that have continued to see thunderstorm activity. Looking at our ERC charts, we did see our ERCs dip a little bit from the thunderstorm activity and higher humidity in some spots we saw yesterday across Nevada, but ERCs only came down slightly and are still above normal for the region. Looking at our 10-hour fuel moisture, we still have low 10-hour fuel moisture over the western half of the Great Basin and higher over the eastern half of the region, especially in the higher terrain of Utah, where we've continued to see these wetter thunderstorms. The satellite loop from this morning shows an area of low pressure well off the west coast, with south to southwest flow across the Great Basin, pushing moisture all the way north across the area. We do have plenty of cloud cover this morning across much of the Great Basin, and also some thunderstorms that are continuing from the overnight hours over parts of western and northeast Nevada. Thunderstorms will continue to increase as moisture remains in place across the region, but we will see drier and breezy conditions push across the Great Basin as this area of low pressure tracks to the east. Looking at the weather pattern for later today, you can see generally moisture moving up north across the Great Basin for showers and thunderstorms to target mainly the northern half of the region, although we do have some thunderstorms this morning over western Nevada. Our significant fire potential will be elevated today, especially across Idaho and areas that have not seen the recent precipitation with thunderstorms. These thunderstorms will be a mix of wet and dry and will be moving quickly up across Idaho, so again, that increased threat today, along with gusty outflow winds. Looking at the relative humidity today, we will see elevated relative humidity across the region as that moisture moves north, but plenty of thunderstorm activity, if not more than yesterday, across the Great Basin, especially Idaho and into Nevada. So these thunderstorms will be wetter over the southern half of the region, but will still be producing plenty of lightning, so we will see increased initial attack. However, up across Idaho, these thunderstorms will be a mix of wet and dry. However, relative humidity this morning is elevated, so we could see those storms transitioning to the wetter side. As we move into Friday, we see drier and breezy air move in out ahead of an area of low pressure across Nevada into western Utah. So we do have high risk for this threat of dry and breezy conditions, especially in the wake of recent lightning across Nevada. We could see the potential for holdovers and impacts to our ongoing incidents. Over the rest of the Great Basin, we'll continue to see lightning, especially over the northern and eastern half of the region, but this lightning will be on the wetter side. Looking at the conditions on Friday, you can see the drier conditions out across Nevada, where relative humidity will dip down into the single digits to low to mid-teens. And looking at the wind image on the right, you can see the areas shaded in purple are where we'll see our wind gusts around 30 miles per hour, so over southern and eastern Nevada, into western Utah, and also along the Sierra Front. Again, some of these areas we have seen recent lightning, so we will be looking at the potential for holdovers as we go into Friday and the weekend. On Saturday, drier air spreads across the Great Basin, so we will see drier conditions across Nevada and Utah, and still thunderstorm activity with the potential for some wetting rains, especially across central Idaho. Again, you can see the significant fire potential impact on the right, mainly with the gusty winds and low relative humidity for the eastern half of Nevada. Again, this could potentially impact parts of western Utah and southern Idaho, especially in the wake of the lightning we have seen over the last couple of days. Looking at our relative humidity, you can see the driest conditions are over southern and eastern Nevada, into western Utah, and far southeast Idaho. And you can see the wind image. Again, the strongest winds over eastern Nevada and western Utah, some of those areas where we have high risk for Saturday, but also breezy conditions along the Sierra Front into northwest Nevada and over parts of Idaho. So we will continue to watch this area across Idaho, especially since, again, that is where we will see lightning here today and where we have seen lightning recently. Looking at our 3-day forecast amounts of precipitation, again, most of the precipitation is associated with thunderstorm activity. The heavier amounts will be confined to the central Idaho mountains as we move towards the weekend and we see the potential for some of that wetting rain, and also over parts of northeast Nevada as we move through later today and those thunderstorms do transition to wetter. As we move into Sunday, we will see drier conditions spread across the Great Basin. We will have a cold front moving through the area, which is what is causing the winds on Friday and Saturday. So we'll also see cooler temperatures as we move later through the weekend as that cold front moves through the Great Basin. So we will see temperatures drop at least 5 to 10 degrees across most of the area. So much cooler temperatures and slightly higher humidity in the far north, but still dry conditions over Nevada and Utah. As we go into early next week, we will continue to see the dry conditions across the Great Basin, so fuels will start to recover somewhat in areas that have not seen significant precipitation. And we will continue this trend on Tuesday. And then into Wednesday, we will see an area of low pressure off the northwest coast, so this could push another round of breezy winds across the Great Basin. But right now it's pretty far out, so confidence is low, but we could potentially have some higher risk as we move towards mid to late next week, depending on the track of this area of low pressure. 7-day total amounts of precipitation are not much different than the 3-day, as most of the precipitation is occurring here in the next few days. Looking at the 8 to 14-day outlook, which takes us from August 15th through the 21st, you can see cooler weather up north as those cold fronts start to push down from the north, and also drier conditions in the south and potentially above normal precipitation in parts of central Idaho. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.